Alright, welcome back to Many Thoughts. It's been a bit since I did one, and I kind of changed up how I want to do this. I want something going on in the background so it's not, well, just static, basically. And I've also made sure that my boring voice doesn't put you to sleep, and so I managed to find music that kind of correlates with what we're talking about. So, of course, Sega, Sonic, duh. But the Sega Genesis Mini came out today. I wanted to do this video a few weeks ago. Didn't have time. Stuff, you know how it goes. And we're basically here to talk about these games, whether what they're doing with these games, like if these games make the Mini worth it, and all that stuff. We're going to get to the games, then we'll talk about the actual system itself, which, I don't know, $80 for some of these games is very generous, actually. I think this is way better than Sony's attempt at a classic, even though I have not played it. I'm not going to get one for a while, but I want to talk about the games because that's the most important part. So we'll start where everyone should start, Ecco the Dolphin, the greatest game. No. Ecco the Dolphin is a adventure puzzle game, oddly enough, is how I would label it. It is actually kind of beautiful in its own way. It has a specific art style. The music is calming sometimes. Sometimes too calming. It's a little weird. But overall, it's not a bad game. It's just sort of lackluster, and it's kind of not my favorite game. It's not bad by any means. It's Ecco the Dolphin, and my personal opinion on it is that it wouldn't sell a console to me. And above all, I probably wouldn't buy it if I had the choice. If I was able to choose the games, yeah. Also, since I just got right into it, must plays, these are the games you must play at least once in your life, in my opinion. Good games, these are the good games on the console. Decent games, these will not like frustrate you or be kind of lame. These have good moments and some bad moments. Lackluster games, these are mostly just maybe boring, or they have big problems, or overall they're just sometimes too difficult to really call a game. Bad games, you know what bad game is. And then there are some games on here, like 7 of them I've never played, so we'll get to those. Ecco the Dolphin is lackluster because overall it's just kind of long, and like it just drags on to me. It's 25 levels, I believe, so yeah, not my favorite. Next one is Castlevania Bloodlines, and I just made people mad by putting it in decent. Castlevania Bloodlines is very similar to Super Castlevania, or Castlevania 4, if you don't know the proper name for it, or whatever, or what console it came out on. Castlevania Bloodlines has a lot of problems. It's a little slower, a lot less smooth. It has the same general theme, but there are just overall some things that kind of separate it from Super Castlevania, which is fine. It's on 2 different consoles, but when it comes to Super Castlevania in the first place, there are a lot of problems with it, and it ultimately is, in my opinion, less than the original trilogy of Castlevania games, for the most part, besides Simon's Quest, whatever. But overall, Castlevania Bloodlines has a lot of good moments, has a lot of Castlevania moments, but there are some bad things about it that make it stand apart in a bad way to Super Castlevania, which is, of course, on the SNES. So it's not overall the best Castlevania entry, but it's what you get on the Genesis. It's probably not the reason you would want a Genesis, though. We have Space Harrier 2. This is an action game. I like to joke that it's a Sonic, I think 3 mini game taken to a full game. It looks blocky. It doesn't look that good. The Sega Genesis has a sprite limitation where as you get closer, it kind of fulfills the sprite, and this game kind of took that way too far with it because the technology was just not there. It's not that fun of a game to me. Overall, it could probably be in lackluster for a lot of people, but to me, it's a bad game for the Genesis. It really is one of the games that it's not fun to play for me. Shining Force is actually a very good game. I'm not going to stay too long onto it because this is it's almost a must play. The only reason it's in good games is because there are some design choices in quotes or some just weird decisions made for the game that kind of are very odd and detrimental to the overall experience. I'm not going to get too much into it because it is a good game. You should check it out. But overall, there are some things that hold it back from a must play. But if we're talking about a must play game, we have Dr. Robotnik's, the Bean Machine game. Everyone jokes about this game if you haven't played it, but a lot of people have played it, and not a lot of them maybe will be on the same side. They might play in the good games category, but overall, this is basically a very, very hyped versus Tetris for the Genesis, and it really is great music, a great quality design, and overall, it's fun. It's similar to Dr. Mario in a way, too. It's more Tetris Dr. Mario-esque. It's hard to explain in its own right, but overall, it's standout. It really is standout. We have Toej and Earl, which I'm going to get some flack for that. I think Bloodlines is better. I will try and organize this how I think in the actual little section itself, but Toej and Earl is just kind of there. It has some good parts, some bad parts. It's not too stand out in its own way, but I do understand there's some people that really enjoy it, but I'm not one of those. It's alright for me. Comic Zone. Now this is a game that I personally enjoy mostly. There are a lot of problems with it overall. It's very repetitive, but it looks and sounds Genesis. It sounds fantastic. It's actually very similar to the next game, Sonic the Hedgehog, which I'm actually gonna put below Comic Zones personally, because Comic Zone just looks and it sounds so good. It's just held back by repetitive combat. Sonic the Hedgehog looks good. It sounds good. I mean, we have a remix going on, so it really is a standout title on the Genesis and kind of made the Genesis, even though I don't think it's that great of a game overall because the platforming kind of sucks in the first entry. Overall, both these games, Comic Zone and Sonic, they're decent games, and they kind of sell the visual quality of the Genesis. Great games to pick here. I mean, Sonic is very mascot and recognizable, so it makes sense why it's here. That's pretty obvious. Altered Beast. This is one of the most overhyped games I've ever talked to people about. I always meet people that either hate this game or love it. I don't know how you can love it. It's a launch title for the Genesis, I think. Yeah, it was. I got confused there. Overall, Altered Beast is not that fun to me. It also doesn't look that good. It's very and yeah, I hear some people really just love this game, and I've never met them, but apparently it just keeps showing up. I also know it's very recognizable, so it does belong here. I'm just saying that I'm not a big fan of it. So Gunstar Heroes, without a doubt, is Gunstar Heroes, beautiful game, fantastic. If you have not played it, you might as well get a Genesis Mini just to play it. It really is that standout. I cannot recommend it enough. It really is that good. You probably have heard of it. Be recognized as a very good game by a lot of people, and if you have not even heard of it, well, play it. Just play it. Castle of Illusion. It looks like it would be a bad Disney like game, but it is actually super good, and it's one of those games that I can't put into words how much of a, not groundbreaking, but kind of proof that these companies back then could make fantastic games. It stands out. It really is a must play on the Genesis. World of Illusion, I would love to say I have played this, but I have not. I've been trying to get around to play it, considering, I mean, this is such a good game. You think this, but I have not gotten the chance to play it. It's on my list somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah. World of Illusion, I'll get to you one day. Thunder Force 3, fantastic. Overall, I'm probably... yeah. Overall, a fantastic game. If you have not played it, it's pretty popular with the Genesis crowd. So if you are a Genesis fan, you've probably played it. Super Fantasy Zone, I've never played at all. It's not even one that I've seen for some reason. It's just escaping my notice completely. We have Shinobi 3, which is probably what I'd consider to be one of the best like ninja games alive. You know, I'm going to argue for that. Yeah. These are about tied. Okay, these two are about tied. It really is that good. It's stylistic. It sounds good. It's fun. It's fun. Then we get to Streets of Rage 2, which I'm gonna put under Shining Force. Streets of Rage 2 is a beat 'em up. Very fun, cool areas. A little repetitive though because it is a beat 'em up, but it is a good game and it's not bad to talk about Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage is a fantastic series. Kind of just kept improving somewhat. Sometimes it declined, but overall not too bad. So we have Earthworm Jim. I'm going to put this probably at the lowest good game because this is merely an opinionated pick. A lot of people will say it's a good game or a decent game, but I'm putting it here because if I could add just the SNES version of Earthworm Jim, or whatever it's called, I think they're the same title, but I would put it in decent game, probably the top of the decent game, but the Genesis version is just better. It's just better in some way. Its sound design is better. Its graphics aren't as colorful, but it kind of goes along with the soundtrack. It really, I think it stands out. We have Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I don't like Sonic personally. It's not been my favorite series, but I do understand what it means for the Genesis, and it's probably the top decent game. There are a lot of problems with the first and second Sonic. And overall, I find it to be not the great platformer that a lot of people really like. But, I'll live with the indecent games. The top of the decent games, I'm fine with. We have Contra Hot Corps, which is straight garbage. Yes, it is straight garbage. That game is real bad. It tried to do too much, too fast. It is downright difficult and brutal and not fun. It really takes a lot of the difficulty from Contra and just kind of ramps it up and makes it not a worthy challenge, but just, okay, I finally did it. Woo. It really isn't that fun to me. A lot of people might like it. I do not. It's not a fun time. Landstalker, never played. Sorry. I know a lot of people enjoy it. I do not. I do not have the pleasure of enjoying it, but maybe one day. Beyond Oasis, I'm gonna put this in decent. I have played this, but it's been a very long time. I don't remember that much standout stuff. I do remember being... I'm just going to put it at the bottom of decent because I'm unsure of where I would honestly place it. It's been a very long time. So, I'm sorry, but yeah. Ghouls and Ghosts. We're going to put that... I'm actually going to put it right there. But Ghouls and Ghosts, if you don't know, Ghosts and Goblins and Super Ghosts and Goblins are decent games. The original Ghosts and Goblins is a brutal game. It really tears down your soul, rips out your heart, and stomps on it. This is a little more easier, but not removing a lot of the challenge. It has a very cool design. Soundtrack is overall worth it. And yeah, I think it's a good game. I really do. We have Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, which is actually somehow worse than Altered Beast, in my opinion. It is basically like if you made a fan game of Mario and wrote some stupid plot and then made everything look really bad. I don't like it at all. It's very lackluster. The only reason I'm putting it here is because it's not like bad. It has some redeeming qualities, and it is iconic for a lot of people. What's the next one? Golden Axe. We'll put you right under Sonic. Golden Axe is a medieval beat 'em up. A lot of people, in my opinion, overhype this game. It does have a lot of standout qualities, yes, but overall it's, to me, pretty overhyped, and sometimes it gets brutally unfair. It has been a long time since I've truly played it. I did try and spruce up, kind of dust off my knowledge on it, but overall, it's a decent game. It's recognizable though. Phantasy Star 4. Where do I put you? I am a big turn-based RPG player, but I honestly will put it here just because I recognize the... No, I'm going to argue right there. Phantasy Star 4 is one of the most fantastic turn-based RPGs of its era. Even nowadays, I could recommend it. It stands out. If you like the Dragon Quest games, if you like the Final Fantasy games, this is part of that triage that ground broke the turn-based RPG into stardom and fantastic entries. This Phantasy Star series ultimately became a weird series. This is kind of their final solo entry that has nothing to do with some weird gimmick or anything. Overall, though, Phantasy Star 4 is fantastic. I wish I could talk more about it, but we have to move on. We have Street Fighter 2. I believe this is the Championship Edition. It's just a decent game. Probably argue that. Yeah. Overall, I'm not the biggest fan of it on the Genesis, but I do understand it's worth it. I'm not going to get too much into Street Fighter, but we have Mega Man Wily Wars. I am actually going to put this right there, and a lot of people that know me will be like, whoa, you're playing a Mega Man game that low? And yes, Mega Man Wily Wars is a remake of the first 3 entries that was put onto the NES. So you have Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. And overall, it looks way better, but it plays so slow, the music is missing something, and overall, the sound effects of a hit and stuff are just kind of ruined. There's a lot of stuff that is flat out just kind of stripped away, and it didn't need to be. It looks actually pretty appealing. That's why it's even here. But, I don't know. It has a lot of problems. A lot of people like it. I think the NES versions are better. Especially since, if you really want to play a true Mega Man game, like Mega Man 1 to a 1-to-1 ratio, I think you have to put it to 1.25 times speed to get about the same like speed that the NES one, which that's how I've always pictured Mega Man, is a fast weapon changing platformer. So not super fast, but fast enough. What we got Sonic Spinball. Yeah, sorry, not right there. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, we'll do that. Sonic Spinball is not that standout. It has some cool graphics, actually, but above that, not that much. We have Vector Man. Vector Man is actually very good and kind of underrated. I'm actually going to put it under... Yeah, I think that works. Vector Man is very underrated. It came out very close to the end of the Genesis life cycle, and maybe that's why a lot of people don't recognize it as good as it is. Maybe they don't recognize it as probably one of the best games on the console. I'm kind of sad for that. We have Wonder Boy in Monster World, which is actually a pretty good game. From what I can remember and piece together, I do remember having fun with it. I'm going to put it at the bottom because it has been a while. Well, we got Virtua Fighter 2. This is straight A garbage. Virtua Fighter to me has always been a 3D fighter for the arcade, and this is 2D boring. This is not a 2D fighter. This is 2D boring. I can never say this name, but it's Elisa Dragoon or something. I always call it the Dragoon game on Genesis because I can't speak. Overall, I have not had a lot of like time to play this, but from what I've played, it's been very fun. I'm going to put it as the bottom of good games because I don't know the exact on whether it's good or not, but overall, I mean, it's still a fun time. We have columns, which sounds so stupid, but it's just basically another version of Tetris. That's why I'm kind of putting it there. It doesn't really stand out in regards to Tetris, and Dr. Robotnik's just way better in every single way. Its sound design is kind of meh to me. We have Dynamite Heady, or Hattie. I say it's Heady. I'll play under Echo. I don't have a lot of good memories with it. I remember playing it. It's not. Nah. We have Strider, which, yeah. Strider, if you don't know, is actually a really fun game. I wish a lot more people knew about it. We have Kid Chameleon, which I kind of want to put like above these, but at the same time I don't. Kid Chameleon is very underrated, but also at the same time it has a lot of glaring flaws. I'm not going to get too much into it because, yeah. We have, what is this, Light Crusader? I've never played it. I want to. We, of course, have Monster World 4, I believe. Never played it. We have Eternal Champions, which I kind of want to change this, but I personally think it's a good game. Barely. I think it's under Strider, though. Yeah, it is a fighting game, and it's pretty fun. We have Road Rash 2. Now, this is a game I want to talk about once we get to it. Road Rash 2 is actually very fun. I'm going to put it up here. I kind of want to almost put it up there, but we will do that. And then we have Tetris, which... Oh, man, it'll do that. I didn't realize that was going to happen. Okay, it's Tetris. You know what this is? Just a mat... Nah, you know what? Tetris deserves to be up there. It's basic Tetris. And then I've never played Darius or whatever included. I think it's a fan-made game or something. But overall, this looks about right. There are a few changes I would probably make if I could go through my head again. But overall, if you look at what the Sega Genesis Mini is offering, you have quite a few games. And that's not to mention that some of these games are vastly expensive. Gunstar Heroes loose cartridge is about 30 to 40 from what I know. And of course there are some like Vector Man who as a loose cartridge is like $5. But then there's stuff like Ghouls and Ghosts, which is about $10 you can about find. And so overall, you have 42 games. It eventually stacks up to equal well past the $80 price tag of the Sega Genesis Mini. And I want to talk about why some of these were chosen, like Altered Beast and Sonic, because they're recognizable. And ultimately, this is kind of what Sony kind of missed out on in a lot of areas on their classic, is that a lot of their recognizable stuff was licensed very oddly. Not oddly, but licensed in a way they couldn't license it again for a classic. So overall, there are a few standout games here. Aladdin comes to mind as one of those games that I really wish was here, but I understand it's a kind of not... It's not like a game that I'll be missing much, because overall I think it is a good game, but we have these just... This is a great lineup right here. And even this. Like, even these decent games, even though I don't remember Beyond Oasis that much, and some of these games I have severe problems with, like Wily Wars, Golden Axe, both Sonics, they still are a fun time. Now, I want to point out Road Rash 2. Road Rash 2 is a motorcycle racing game. And it's actually very fun. The reason it's here is because the first game was so good that it would probably be almost in a must play. It sounds fantastic. It's almost gritty like sounding with its soundtrack. And overall, it plays basically the same way to Road Rash 2. Why is it down here is because all they did was introduce split screen and they took out the music, which is what I loved about the original Road Rash. If there's one game I could recommend playing the first one over the second one, it's Road Rash, which is why I'm kind of sad the second one's here. And overall, I'm actually, if you look at these games, I haven't played 6 of them. That means there's 36. These are 3 very bad games in my opinion. Of course, you could probably raise this to lackluster and this to this stays in bad. Okay, no matter what, Virtua Fighter 2 stays in bad. And so you minus these 3, you get 33, and then you have 6 more right here that are kind of lackluster. They're playable and they can be fun, but we'll take them out of our calculation. So we'll take them out anyway. That means we are left with 27, right? I did the calculation right. I'm not dumb. Yeah, I think so. So overall, you're left with 27 games that are decent or above. When it comes down to it, like $80, which is less than what the Sony PlayStation Classic came out with, which was $100 at start, which was kind of ridiculous. But for $80, you're getting 27 games for basically $3 each. Now, maybe some of these decent games are going to turn you off, and we're just going to exit them out because I feel like just showing how good these are. The Tetris is kind of just Tetris. But, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 from 27, that is 16. So you have 16. So we are, of course, going to find the price, which, wait, isn't that just 5? Yeah, it's 5. I checked with the calculator. So 80 divided by 16 games, $5 each. Gunstar Heroes, Phantasy Star 4, Castle of Illusion, Shinobi 3, like, and you just keep going on and on with all these, are all worth $5. Like, just looking at them, and you get these along with it if you really want to look at it. And of course, you get some not standout, but you get some recognizable titles like Alex Kidd, Altered Beast, Echo, but like, and you get these 6 games, which I have no idea where they go because I've never played, but you get all of this for $80. And I really just want to say, if it plays well and it's emulated properly and not like whatever Sony put out, this is probably going to be one of my favorite classic consoles. It really came out and just showed what games you should put on these. And I'm actually excited to get one once I have the chance to pick one up. I won't be getting it for a while, so I won't be able to truly confirm whether these play like the original. I'll probably stick to my original Genesis anyway for most of these, but overall, I'm happy with this list. I'm happy with the list that Sega managed to put together. Of course, there are some that I don't like, but those are personally why I think are bad games. But just 3 out of 42 that are bad, man, that's way better than the NES Classic, where there's like 5 of those that are straight up garbage. So I think this is where I'm going to end it. Overall, the Sega Genesis Mini is worth it just based on the games, especially since some of these games are pretty expensive. Looking at you, Gunstar. Phantasy Star 4 is also relatively. Castle of Illusion. And I do want to mention a game that is missing, but I understand why it's not here. That is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, which is actually a pretty good game for the Genesis. It's not here because of licensing, obviously. And also, I don't think a lot of people really remember it, which kind of sucks. Well, a lot of people remember that did play it, but it wasn't one of those games that you saw on the shelf went, ooh, I'll remember that 40 years down the line or something. It was just kind of odd. But overall, I really like the Sega Genesis Mini's game lineup. I'll probably check back in a couple months to say my definite opinion on the Classic. But with that, I think we're going to end it for right now. Yeah, I think we're good. Every game is listed. I had fun actually going through all this. This is a fun way of doing it. So I will hopefully hit you back with another Many Thoughts pretty soon. These are fun to talk through. Allows me to share my opinion in a constructive way. And yeah, so hopefully I'll see you guys next time. If you do get a Sega Genesis Mini, let me know if they emulated it correctly and all this. I'll be checking on it. And give your opinions on whether you enjoyed some of these must plays if you end up playing them through my recommendation. So thank you. I'll hopefully see you guys next time. And of course, till then.